activity. This is a new Android project, and whenever you create an Android project that targets Android versions Honeycomb and higher, you get a native action bar by default. So in this example, we are going to integrate a navigation drawer that would slide in from the left just below the action bar. Let's go ahead and do that. And before we begin, we need to add a dependency that contains the drawer layout. So let's go to Gradle scripts and find the build.gradle file for the app module and double click on it. You get the Gradle file, and let's go ahead and scroll down. Under dependencies, we're going to add a dependency that contains the drawer layout. Let's go ahead and add compile. The drawer layout is a part of the v4 support library, so I'm going to add a dependency to the v4 support library, which is com.android.support. This is the artifact ID followed by the group ID, which is support v4, and then the latest version that is currently available. Once you add the dependency, you have to synchronize the Gradle file. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click on Sync Now. The Gradle project is being synchronized. Now we are done. The library is available for use in our Android project. The next thing that we're going to do here is to add the drawer layout to our XML layout file. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to activity navigation drawer.xml, and here I'm going to switch to the text view. Right now we have a relative layout and a text view. We're going to place the relative layout inside the drawer layout. As the name suggests, the drawer layout is a view group, and in order to have a drawer, the drawer layout should have at least two children. The first child is the main view that is always available, and the subsequent children are drawers. You can have multiple drawers in your layout, but in order to begin with, we'll start with one, and it will slide in from the left. Let's go ahead and add the drawer layout as the root element. I'm going to add the drawer layout. Since the drawer layout is part of the support package, I'm going to say android.support.v4.widget.drawer layout. And since this is the root element, I'm going to shift the namespace attributes to it, and I'm also going to move this tools contracts attribute to the root element. The next thing I'm going to do is to add an ID property. That's because we need to get a reference to the drawer layout itself. So I'm going to do an Android ID, and I'm going to specify the name, which is going to be drawer layout. All right. And then we need the width and the height attributes, which I'm going to match the parent. And then I also need to include the height attribute. So far so good. I'm going to close the tag, and I'm going to move the end tag to the end of the XML file. We're good. Now let me format this. That's great. So notice that the relative layout is the first child of our drawer layout. So this is going to be the main view that will always be visible. I'm going to add a content. That is good. And now we're going to add a view for the drawer. So the first child of the drawer layout is the main view, which will be always visible, and the subsequent children would be drawers. We're just going to need one drawer, so let's go ahead and add that. I'm going to use a list view as a drawer, so I'm going to specify a list view, and the width is going to be match parent, and the height is also going to be match parent. If you want to specify the width in dps, make sure that you do not exceed 320 dps. That's because the drawer should always show a part of the main content, and it should not cover the underlying content. However, if you use match parent, then the drawer layout will take care of the sizing for you. We're also going to give this an ID property. I'm going to call this id/websites list view. Let's scroll down, and the most essential attribute for a drawer is the layout gravity property. Layout gravity. So this is the most essential attribute because the layout gravity property specifies the direction from which the drawer will slide in. So we could do left, and left is okay if you're not going to support RTL layouts. But if you're going to support RTL layouts, I would suggest you to use the start attribute. Make sure that you use the layout gravity attribute and not the gravity attribute, because if you're going to use the gravity attribute, you're not going to get the expected behavior. And the last attribute I'm going to add here is the background attribute. That's because if you don't specify a background, your drawer will have a translucent background and it won't be looking nice. So let's go ahead and give it a background. I'm going to use a color which is white. So we are done. I'm going to call this a left drawer. That's just a comment. We are done here. So we have a drawer layout with two children. The first child is going to be the content, the main content, which will always be visible. And then we also have a list view, which is going to be our drawer. The next thing that we're going to do is to go to our Java file, which is the navigation drawer activity. And here we're going to initialize the list view. I have to create a field for it. So private list view, websites list view. And I'm going to import this. And then here inside onCreate, I'm going to initialize the list view. Before that, I'm going to get a reference. And websites list view is equal to find view by ID or .id.websites list view. And then I'm going to perform a typecast. And then here we're going to initialize the list view, which is we need some data items that we can add to our list view. I already have an array of websites, so I'm going to get that. So get resources dot get string array or dot array dot websites. I'm going to assign this to a local variable, which is going to be called as websites. And then we could use an array adapter. So array adapter of string websites adapter. I'm going to initialize this new array adapter. The context is this, and then we need a layout for our list item. I'm going to use the built-in Android dot or dot layout dot simple list item 1, and then we'll pass in the array of websites. So far so good. And then I'm going to set this as an adapter to our list view. So we just set an adapter to our list view. That is it. Let's go ahead and run this application. I'm going to click on OK. Switching to the emulator. And here it is. So this looks like a normal Hello World application, but what you don't see here is when you click on the left edge and drag it towards the right, you have a brand new navigation drawer. That is it. But there is one caveat in this example. That is, there is no visual indication of the navigation drawer itself. So when a user is looking at your application, they'll not be aware of the navigation drawer at the first place. So in the upcoming video, we are going to add a toggle control here, which will actually bring in the navigation drawer. If you have any questions on this, feel free to ask. Thank you for watching.